Good afternoon, judges. My name is Jemima. I am from Penabur, and I stand on the opposition side as the leader of opposition. I will start my debate speech in 3, 2, and 1. Have you ever went on social media and found a post about how someone had the initiative to start an organization, and you saw how inspiring the impact was, how the person expanded their organization, and that you started one yourself or you led one yourself because of that post or because of someone you know. This example is actually very similar to the motion today, in which this House believes that political dynasties bring more harm than good to democracy. But why? But in this case, as the opposition, I beg to differ. Why is that? Because I believe that following one's example is not harmful as long as the motive is good, morally. It's just like how parents want their children, parents want the best for their children. Parents want their children to be doctors, so they put them in medical school because the parents themselves are doctors and they've seen how good it is, and they think that, oh, this would fit my children. And this case also happens in the political world. And why is that not valid? If it is valid in the medical world or the business world, like how this influencer called Bobby Saputra, he followed his dad's footsteps and became a businessman himself. Why is it not valid if a child wants to be a politician themselves, just like their family, just like their ancestors? Why is that invalid? Why does that bring harm? Government has pointed out that political dynasties bring harm because they're totalitarian. What makes a state totalitarian is like their censorship and banning activists, for example. And that is what makes it totalitarian, like also leaders wanting only they can have a speak and no one else can have a speak. That is totalitarian. But political dynasties do not essentially do that. It's just that they're led by one big group and they're related to each other. And government has also mentioned how political dynasties had a history of silencing journalists. Well, silencing journalists is not an act that has only been done by political dynasties. They have also technically been done by democratic states. And of course it's not an excuse, but it's not, but doing that actually doesn't, silencing journalists, silencing the news is not totalitarian. That is not, silencing the news, silencing news channels is not democratic. It is also not political, what a political dynasty is supposed to be. That is just totalitarian. Censoring is just totalitarian. That is not what political dynasties should be associated with, even though it is led by a family, because that is a whole system in itself. Some examples of how political dynasty has actually been done well in a society is, take an example in Indonesia. There's a small, not real small example is Sukarno and Megawati, because Sukarno, he helped improve Indonesia as well as his daughter, and his daughter is also affiliated with a big political party and in which is favored by many. Another example is also coincidentally in Indonesia is this governor who was once in Maluku, but he passed away, and then because of that his wife replaced him to continue his political values, to continue his projects. This can actually help the state, the province. This can help improve. And also political dynasties tend to be separated. They tend to be spread around the nation, across the state. this can also actually help improve the society itself, and also how citizens tend to follow their leaders. People tend to follow their leaders. This can actually like help citizens to follow their leaders' footsteps in being more family oriented, being closer to one another, for example. And this helps create peace among the nation and does not bring harm. And another thing that I would like to point out is that in today's day and age, people rely on connections, people rely on their networks. So it is not harmful for people to receive their jobs because of their referrals. Like in LinkedIn, people go on LinkedIn to find connections to find their job. And it's the same way how political dynasties work. People are families. People who are families with each other, they seek their family and they have the skill for that. So why do they not deserve to have the job of being a politician if their family is also a politician? And these political dynasties, they hold very strong family values, which I have mentioned before, which can also help increase the society itself, as I mentioned, and they can learn about leadership in family settings. And again, this does not bring harm to the society. This does not bring harm to democracy. It actually brings good. And I have mentioned before that citizens are able to vote. If, say, the candidate is not voted, the candidate is voted, and a candidate is voted and they're not related to the politicians, the family of politicians, the political family, then, and they are not accepted to become a politician, although they're already voted, then that is a mistake done by the dynasty, the politicians, because that would prove that they are totalitarian and not an actual democracy. And this just means that they are being totalitarian and not being a political state. They're not being open if they do not accept others inside, although they have already been voted and trusted by the citizens. So all in all, I hope that you judges can understand that political dynasties bring good to democracy and to society with all the arguments I have stated before, and how they're actually very friendly to the society. Thank you.